All right, and we're back for another episode of the Department Podcast with Justin Valentovic, Stephen Clark, Jesse Norman, and Joe Paolantonio, and we are back right after Sunday Night Football to break down Week 2 of the NFL season. Last week was the instant reaction, overreaction to everything that was going on. You know, the skies are falling down for certain teams. You know, everything's just falling apart. Week 2, though, was the week of injuries, as basically we saw every single team had significant injuries to at least 3 players. Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, all of them were tweeting away with updates of who was coming, who was going, who was getting carted off. Definitely the most soft tissue injuries and just injuries in general I've seen in a single week in a long time. So that's definitely the big story. Obviously, you know, Nick Bosa, Saquon Barkley are the big headliners of injuries. But other than that, it was a good week of football.
Yeah. They need to put more games on at 4:30 instead of 1. They had 10 games on at 1 o'clock, and almost all of them were good.
Yeah.
And then the 4:30 games.
There was 3 at 4, like 3, 4 o'clock games.
It really slows down the red zone.
4:30 games weren't even that good.
Exactly.
They need to do something. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Thursday Night Football just shouldn't exist, or at least should be improved upon.
It's the worst. They put the worst games on Thursday nights.
Who's
it this week? It's Dolphins.
Dolphins, Jaguars.
Dolphins, Jaguars.
Minshew Mania, baby.
How do you even advertise for that?
It's football.
They barely ran like a promo trailer for it. They just kind of just flashed the graphics. Says Thursday Night Football. Here you go. But that's week 3, so we're not talking about that. But let's talk about this current week. And we're recording right after Sunday Night Football, and we just had a great game between the Seahawks and the Patriots. Patriots ultimately lost, though, 30-35. Russell Wilson absolutely torched their secondary, almost 300 yards passing, 5 touchdowns in the air. Great game for the Seahawks.
Yeah, it was fun to see. Like, we're talking separately offline, off air, but Russell Wilson is still, even though he's so good, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league, if not one of the most underrated quarterbacks of all time. The things that he does for this team is just unprecedented, honestly. And if another quarterback was there in his position, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same role that Russ plays. Russ is very good, very, very good.
Here's the formula for every Seahawks, because every Seahawks game, they usually get a lot of national TV games. This is like the formula for every single Seahawks game that's on national TV. This one went a little better than the usual ones, but it usually ends up being the Seahawks outplay their opponent, like, visually. You check back in at the end of the game and the score is still somehow close, and the Seahawks end up either winning or losing by the hair of their teeth, but it still ends up very frustrating for both parties. And this is it. This is how the Seahawks games go, and this is what you're going to have to get used to this season if you're Jamal Adams. But here's what the Seahawks did that's different in my eyes, and this is the difference between me choosing them to not win the division and me choosing them to win the division, is that if they let a guy like a quarterback like Russell Wilson actually cook and go to town and not hand the ball off 30 times, this is how the Seahawks are going to get carried offensively to the title. I mean, this Seahawks defense played better today than I ever expected them to.
And Joe, you and I were texting throughout the game where it's like Pete Carroll wants to run the offense as if it's still the run-first heavy offense with Marshawn Lynch. But they're built for a pass-first offense with 2 legitimate receivers in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So they have the weapons to do so. And hopefully this is kind of an eye-opener for Carroll to let him air it out, because Russell Wilson was dropping dots across the field, deep, downfield, that I was just speechless at how he was just literally dropping it in perfectly to the receivers.
Yeah, he does that every week. He's the best deep ball thrower in the league. Carroll still is going to limit him no matter what.
That's fine, though, because you have to spread the wealth. That's fine, if you ask me.
The Seahawks are a really good team. Yeah. I think we all already knew that. The headline for this should be, if anybody thought the Patriots were a bad team, they're not. Yeah. They're not a bad team at all. Cam Newton is – if they continue to play like this, Cam Newton will be in the MVP discussion by far, because he is the entire focal point of their offense, despite them having pretty much no off season together. He's totally reworked this offense that I was told had absolutely no weapons on it and couldn't move the ball at all with Tom Brady, and they just put 30 points up, and we're literally like a fraction away from getting another touchdown against a very good Seattle defense team right now.
Yeah, and it's only week 2, but Cam, I think, is already kind of locked up comeback player of the year off of 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Unless
Probably.
Big Ben
I don't
tears
think
up, I'd put Cam.
Or Phillip Rivers in Indy. No, but
Hey,
no,
there's
no comeback.
He never left.
Let's get
started.
He never left.
Let's get serious for a second.
The Patriots are still a legitimate threat for the East.
Yeah.
No,
They are,
absolutely.
and after watching, I know we'll talk about the Bills-Dolphins game, but after watching that, you can't tell me that, the Bills are going to run away with the division.
No.
They couldn't even run away with a win against Miami today.
Josh Allen makes plays that you just have to scratch your head and just question, what the hell are you doing?
He's the worst quarterback in the league.
He's the most reckless quarterback.
Yeah.
Josh Allen reminds you of like a more athletic Jay Cutler. Of just like, you like look at him and you're like, why did you think you could fit that ball into triple coverage?
Sounds like
he's
me
like,
and
I don't
Madden.
know, I just thought I could.
That's me and Madden.
Yeah.
Here's my takeaway from this Patriots game is that when you watch a team, whether they win or they lose, you like to watch like how they lost or how they won. The Patriots really lost this game because the secondary was the problem tonight. Stephon Gilmore, who's usually locked down,
was getting dogged.
got bullied by
DK
Metcalf. But it's like today, the Chiefs were down because Patrick Mahomes was not playing up to par. It's not you worry about the Chiefs. It's just, okay, Mahomes is having an off night. The law of averages says that things are going to balance back out. And that's what I think about this Patriots secondary. It's not a problem of, the Patriots lost. It's the Patriots lost because something that's a sure bet, 99 out of 100 times comes through. This was the one time. I am elated if I am a fan of the New England Patriots because their offense, when last year it looked like they were a one-trick pony. It looked like they could not move the ball at all. And now all of a sudden it seems they can run, they can get you, in the intermediate pass game. Cam actually flung it, which is something we didn't see against Miami. I mean, he really changed the dynamic of the team.
Cam is going to become more and more comfortable in this offense the longer that they go.
And the reason why it's working, too, is because Cam's a dual-threat quarterback. Tom Brady is not obviously a dual-threat quarterback. Having the ability to run out of the pocket and be able to do designed run plays and, like you said, Joe, also launch the ball down the field in the same drive is never seen in the Brady-Belichick era. So that's why this offense is succeeding as well, just because of Cam's ability to run the ball.
And that's one thing the Patriots have always been able to do is adapt to the current style of play in the NFL. And the current style is just having an athletic, scrambling quarterback who can at least throw on the run or take it themselves, which we've seen coming out of college. Really,
Cam kind of started that trend.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Really, since him, people always try to credit it to Vic, but Cam really revolutionized it and was a much bigger bodied quarterback than Vic was. He kind of took it and perfected it in his own way. But now that almost makes the Patriots even more dangerous then because they have something else that the teams have to account for.
Yeah, Cam makes up with his running ability what he doesn't have in overall skill that Brady had. So it does make them kind of dangerous in a way. I do agree with that. And I think they come away with the division still. I think the division still stays in New England. I don't see the Bills. The Bills are a solid team. They're not the best. They're not the worst. But I still think the division title goes to the Patriots.
Here's my takeaway. Another takeaway is you go on the road with Cam Newton, new quarterback, new coach, with a wide receiving core that's full of I mean, I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna take all the credit, put all the credit on the receiving core for being bad with Brady, but it's not
Outside
good.
of outside of Edelman, it's nothing to write home about.
Well,
It's
on that last
Edelman,
drive, N'Keal Harry looked like a legit receiver,
but
something
exactly,
he never looked like with Brady.
it's N'Keal Harry, Jacoby Myers. It's guys that we don't know, or it's guys that are kind of late round draft picks. But what Cam Newton did, it's still Seattle. It's still on the road. It's still a primetime game, and it's still an elite secondary. He really did a great job.
He proved the doubters wrong from last year that he still has it.
Imagine if Cam was with the Bears right now.
Bears are looking nice lately.
The 2-0 Bears?
2-0 Bears, big
Think
Mitch,
about how much
baby.
better of a 2-0 team.
We'll definitely get into them in a little bit, but anything left to wrap on Sunday Night Football?
It was fun. Fun game.
It was a good game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
All right, so let's flip over to the 4 o'clock window. We had 3 games. You had Chiefs, Chargers, Ravens, Texans, Cardinals, and Washington. So let's start out with the quick game, get it over with. Ravens, Texans, Ravens 33, Texans 16. The Texans just continually prove that they are just not a good team anymore.
The Texans don't have an offensive line.
Deshaun
Watson would snap the ball. The Ravens would be in the backfield.
Deshaun's going to get killed.
It's not good. It's not good. They don't have anything.
He needs to leave. He needs to leave Houston.
And he just signed a contract.
If he wants a career, a long, healthy, lovely career in a National Football League, he needs to leave. That's it.
I mean, we could talk about the Texans all we want. Texans. Watching this game, it showed me that I don't think there is a team that's going to be able to keep up with Baltimore offensively. They are so fast. It seems like Lamar is even deadlier accurate as a passer. And up front, it's a brick wall. It is an absolute brick wall that they set up to protect him. And I mean, and then they added J.K. Dobbins to that running back core. It is, and Marquise Brown, what a step forward he's taken. I mean, we're talking about a legitimate number 1 receiver. I don't know if there's a defense that could keep up with them. I really don't.
They just have so many different options. You have Mark Andrews, because he's going to be a matchup nightmare. But also you have, Mark Ingram, who's older, but he's still the sledgehammer running back that he can put his head down. And we saw him taking, a direct snap and take it in 30 yards or however long that was.
And you got to remember last year, in that playoff game that Lamar gets a lot of hate for, and I agree he did not play his best. But the running back core, Mark Ingram got hurt before the game. The running back core only got 8 carries. 8 carries.
That's not the style they play.
That's not the style they play. J.K. Dobbins in the mix. A healthy Mark Ingram. I am begging to see them play your Kansas Cities and your Tennessees.
They're built.
That's the thing. You need
built for the
playoffs. You need to see them against the good teams because, I mean, impressive. Nobody's going to say they weren't. They looked great, but that's what Baltimore has always been. They beat up on bad teams.
But we're talking about a team right now that has won 14 consecutive regular season games.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, since he has taken over the starter, has lost 3 games.
Is that including the playoffs?
No.
Okay.
I'm just talking strictly regular season because that's what we're in right now. Like, if it's a question about the regular season, I don't see how this team is going to have any trouble. Even if they lose, they're not going to get blown off the field.
I don't see how they're going to lose a game all season. They have, number 1, the easiest schedule in the league. Number 2, the most dominant offense in the league. I don't see how
the only teams I can see beating them is maybe the Chiefs if they get their act together next week, and then the Steelers could maybe steal a game.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe the Steelers, and their defense would have to keep up, which I don't know if they can.
Well, that's the thing. If there's the biggest test for the Ravens offense has to be the Steelers defense, because if you look at it right now, And I mean, I guess I can have some bias as a Steelers fan, but I don't think there's a defense in the NFL right now that can match Pittsburgh's position by position.
Maybe Kansas City is the only closest one.
No.
And I think position by position, the Steelers have the most talented defense. The 49ers, you maybe could have made an argument for before the Bosa injury.
And the Solomon Thomas injury.
And the Solomon Thomas injury.
The thing about the Steelers defense is you could say core by core, they're better linebacking core. I mean, there are probably 3 teams at least, better up front, a better secondary. Like they don't have the best core, but together they keep you off the board. You're not going to score touchdowns.
They don't have the best secondary or the best linebackers. Or
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying.
They have a top 3 defensive line, a top 3 secondary, a top 3 linebacking.
They're more unit-based rather than player-by-player based.
Yeah. And what the Patriots did so well for years and years and years is, I don't care how many yards they gave up. This Steelers team and those Patriots teams did not give up touchdowns.
Yeah.
And boy, does the Steelers team turn them all over. But the other thing is that the way the Ravens have set up that offense is they don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like they've made it so it's almost impossible.
It's foolproof.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, their defense is insanely good too.
They got Calais Campbell for nothing.
Yeah, the amount of sacks they got in the game. They got a couple of picks, I believe, too. It's just all around. They're a good football team, and they're very
I don't
scary.
want to put too much stock into the defensive line performance again because that Texans offensive line, they literally looked like they were folding.
Yes, and the week before the Browns.
That was turnstiles.
But you got to give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely, but I need to see it against a legit team because I don't think Houston is legit.
Now, if they have the same type of productivity next week,
then I think
they're legit.
We can talk about them possibly going 16-0.
That's what I said. Literally
undefeated.
Yeah.
We can start. We'll see.
Here's what I put stock in, and I think you guys can agree that slowly but surely, CB1 is becoming the most important position on defense. We've seen how the kind of effect that a lockdown number 1 corner can have on a game. And I hate to tell you, Marcus Peters has become, and I don't know if it's the Ravens scheme, I don't know if it's because he's gotten out of LA, because he was good in LA, but he has been absolutely unflappable since he has come into Baltimore.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a factor. I tell you, that's going to be a factor. Can he guard Tyreek?
Yeah, all the teams at the top of the conferences
have a number one
shutdown corner. Every one of them.
That's it. And even Jalen Ramsey. Look at the effect that he has had on the Rams these first 2 games.
Who the Rams just keep paying people. That's another story for another day, but that's here nor there.
Yeah.
Baltimore, though, like you said, they have almost accounted for every possible outcome and have ways of fixing it on the fly in game.
It's Super Bowl or bust for them. It's that simple. I mean,
it should
where
be.
They are.
And it should be. You're not going to have Lamar in a rookie deal forever. You're not going to pay a line like this. But that's why I don't want to spend this time burying the Texans, who have had just a poor schedule. 1, 2, 3.
Come on.
They couldn't catch a break.
You have to play.
So let's hold off.
Wait, who do they play next week?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's 0-3. That's 0-3.
That is
God, that's unfair.
So I'm not going to sit here and bury the Texans because the schedule makers did not love them, and I still honestly think there's a chance they can be a number 7 seed.
So switching things over to another 4:00 game, you had the Arizona Cardinals beating the Washington football team. Kyler Murray, week by week now, is proving that height does not matter and that he also made the great decision of not playing baseball for the Oakland Athletics. Him and Hopkins, they're going to turn into something special, but also Kyler Murray in himself is showing to be a very special talent. And Arizona's really lucked out.
They keep proving me right week by week that this is going to be the number 2 team in the division. They keep proving
absolutely.
me right.
And I tweeted in March. I said congratulations to Kyler Murray on the 2020-2021 NFL MVP. And that was the day they made the Hopkins deal, and I said it then. And I mean, it's making me look good so far. Only week 2, but
he's also helping your fantasy team a little bit.
I took him. I doubled down on it.
Kyler, you barely know her.
But what makes Kyler different from last year to this year? Obviously, it is DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, that's a given. But it seems to me
that minor improvement.
It seems to me that he just looks so much more poised. Last year, you watched him. He looked small at times. He looked like he kind of didn't belong, in with the big boys. This year, he poise, pocket presence, and he knows when to scramble.
Yeah, last year he looked like a rookie.
Absolutely, and you can't fault him for that.
No, but this year he looks like a vet of the game now. He looks like he's comfortable now.
He took the next step similar to how Lamar Jackson did it, where, first season he took over mid or halfway through or third, whatever he took over for Flacco, kind of pooped the bed a little bit in the playoffs, but now the next year he came back, won NFL MVP. It's the same thing where he's going through his progressions. He's looking downfield. He's making smarter throws. He can make all the throws. The arm is there. Like, it is truly there. Yeah. But his decision-making and just pocket awareness has been leaps and bounds better than last year. Like, it's the comfort level that has seemed to have really improved for him.
I think there's also a thing we're not talking about here for the Cardinals, and it's that their defense has also been very good. Their front seven has been fantastic, honestly. Much better than I thought they were going to be.
Chandler Jones
defense isn't loaded with talent, but they're good.
Chandler Jones has been the gift that's been kept on, on giving for him. Like,
he's the one that left the Patriots and still has done significantly better or at the same level, and almost nobody talks about it
because really the Cardinals only have really 2 key contributors on the defense, which are Chandler Jones, and then in the back you have Budda Baker, who was really just a special teamer originally, but that's what he made the Pro Bowl for, and then he turned into a very good safety. Like, we saw him make a few plays today. Yeah. And outside of that, it's just kind of NFL players, nothing high caliber, low caliber type of guys.
NFL players.
Well, they're just kind of average guys,
Yeah, no.
Yeah, today it was a game of the NFL players versus the football players.
The football.
But yeah, on Washington, they don't look fantastic. They're a rebuilding team. Chase Young looks really good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that. Dwayne Haskins doesn't look terrible. He's going to be an NFL quarterback. He'll be a backup probably, maybe.
He'll be a Tyrod Taylor, basically.
We'll see what Dwayne Haskins is. He's at least good enough that he's going to be in the league. He's not Paxton Lynch. He's not Ryan Leaf.
Okay.
Like, he can play definitively.
I'm not gonna because I Jesse, better than anyone. I was high on Haskins.
Yeah.
Coming into the draft, and to have him in his second year after he's on his 3rd head coach in his second year.
All of last year too. All the first 10 games last year, he was taking 3rd string reps.
Well, the thing is,
so the Washington football team has done him absolutely no favor.
Well, and offensive line ? Oh, let's trade away your main protection.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh yeah, you want a receiver? Nah, I don't have one of those.
Nah.
Hey,
running.
I know we just released the rookie running back that we picked. That was supposed to be really good. But also, we're cutting Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, the veteran who could actually get you maybe 800 yards and at least unload the box for you a little bit. No.
Oh, we had that pass catching back, Chris Thompson. Don't bring him back.
Nah.
So Washington, they haven't done him any favors between being a joke of a franchise, different head coaches, different OCs, throwing him into the fire. He hasn't even played a full NFL season yet. Worst case scenario, he gets you the number 1 overall pick and you get Trevor Lawrence, right?
But and that's the thing, though.
Do you?
He looks fine. Like, he honestly shouldn't look this decent for what they've given him. Like, they've done him no favors through anything. And he looks like he's at least competent enough. They beat the Eagles last week.
Yeah,
I mean, and
by a miracle.
They came back from being down, and Haskins had to lead the halftime because Ron Rivera was getting an IV for, his reaction to chemotherapy and everything. So Dwayne Haskins rallied the guys last week. So even if he's, bad for the rest of the year, you really have to wonder if Dwayne Haskins does, become a bust. It's how much was him and how much was the Washington football team just never even fully behind
if he's completely horrible throughout the rest of the season, maybe look into reevaluating the position. But you have a head coach who, for Washington, he's probably the most stable head coach you've had in a long time since, like, Joe Gibbs, if we're being quite honest, right?
No, you're right.
In Ron Rivera. Also, I'm never one to give up on a quarterback after 1 year. Granted, for the Cardinals, it worked out tremendously for bailing on Rosen right away. But you're also, you're Washington. This is expected to have a team that just treads water and is continuously mediocre because just they don't do anything, just circle the wagon.
And also the things outside of
they always have a distraction.
Too.
Always a distraction.
Exactly. Just so much surrounding that team, and it's just not good for the organization, which then reflects on the players.
As long as Dan Snyder's there, they're always going to be a laughing stock.
For
they're
sure.
always going to be a joke. It can never be taken seriously.
For sure.
It just nothing productive will ever come with him in there. Simple as that.
I can't let Dwayne Haskins, like, you even talk about them drafting someone else first overall, because, I mean, we're talking about a guy who, first of all, has the size and the physicality that you want out of a pocket passer. We're talking about a guy who beat out Joe Burrow in college. We are talking about a guy who was a top 10, deserved to be a top 10 pick coming out of Ohio State. And if you watched the tape last year, I know the selfie gets a lot of credit, or a lot of discredit. They give him a lot of flack for it, but he played well the last 3 games for Washington.
And like, if you want to, if people want to say, well, he hasn't had like over a 200-yard receiving game, it's like, well, who's he throwing to? You got Terry McLaurin and nothing else.
Terry McLaurin's out like every other game.
Yeah,
Terry McLaurin is okay. He's not the best. But
that's enough.
That's enough. Who's their second receiver? Like,
I don't know, some
Dontrell Inman. That's basically it's legitimately Dontrell.
Justin and I know about that.
Sims.
Yeah, they just need to gut it, keep gutting the team, just keep building it. However, but that's Washington, Arizona. Final game in the 4:00 window. Kansas City Chiefs, LA Chargers. First game in SoFi Stadium, and making an emergency start at the start of the game, Justin Hertbert. And quite frankly, he played really well. And we'll definitely finish this game, at the other part of the break, but real quick, initial takeaway from what
You're cutting it out, man.
am I really
It's bad.
Is it really that bad?
Yeah,
sound like a robot.
Justin Valentovic's bandwidth is low, so
bandwidth is bandwidth. Well,
it's okay, Joe.
Let's just take a break here, and then we'll hopefully that fixes it, and then we'll come back and talk about this game. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back for part 2 of Week 2 breakdowns, recap, whatever you want to call it, here on the Department Podcast with Justin, Joe, Steve, and Jesse. This has been a hell of an episode to record between my technical difficulties. Second time trying to record this part, but we're back. Whoa. And where we left off before we went to break right away because my internet was crapping out again, as usual, we didn't really start. I threw the topic of the Chiefs and Chargers game with Justin Hertbert making an emergency start basically being announced right as kickoff was happening for Tyrod Taylor, who was experiencing a chest injury, as they called it. But he played really well for a spot start as a rookie against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, very good.
Hey, Justin, I'm just going to I'll start right out with it because I think this is what we've all been waiting for.
All right, let's get it.
So last week you guys wanted to compare. You said that you would be okay comparing Daniel Jones' week 6 to Joe Burrow's week 6. Okay, well, let's compare Justin Herbert's week 2 to Joe Burrow's week 2 because they're both rookie quarterbacks. So they both had over 300 yards, which is actually very, very impressive.
Very good, both of them.
But it took Justin Herbert 41 41 less attempts to get to 300 yards. And it's not like they were playing anyone. It was just, the defending champions. But he had a lot of time to prepare, obviously, because he knew he found out 5 minutes before the game that he was starting at quarterback.
All right.
Okay, Joe, who are the wide receivers he was throwing to? Oh, yeah, Keenan
Allen,
Allen
future
and
Hall
Mike
of Famer,
Williams.
Keenan Allen and Mike
Oh,
Williams.
tight end Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry and
Wow.
Austin Eckler in the
Austin
back.
Eckler, all pro.
Wow.
Well, let's
what
look
a
at
team.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that O-line, too, the differences.
Let's talk about
Wow.
defending champions.
Cool.
5 minutes before the game.
Defending
Athleticism.
champions. A
Took
team
shots
around
downfield.
Herbert. A team around Herbert.
I don't know.
Meanwhile, it was just
eyes.
Baker. Not Baker. It was Joe Burrow versus the Browns defense on his own because he was getting killed in the backfield almost every single play.
AJ
Green, who's an injury-prone idiot.
Shut up, Justin. If you just actually brought up AJ Green as a legit wide receiver one in 2020, you're kicked off the podcast. Come on, it's
my
joke.
podcast.
Those nightmares came back to you.
We did it last week with the weapons. We're not going to rehash that again.
Why not? Because it's true.
No, because we're going to end up doing it every single week.
Oh my God, Joe, you know what's also crazy?
We also only have 40 minutes on the Zoom call.
Lost. It's so just like Burrow.
Yeah, they lost.
Congrats. They
both
lost. Cool.
What? So that takes away from Joe Burrow then.
But
all right, awesome.
Justin Herbert, what do you have? An interception and one touchdown? One touchdown, one interception. Burrow has not thrown an interception yet in the league.
And a rushing
2
touchdown.
games in.
Burrow threw an interception. Burrow threw it.
He did.
He got picked off by a D lineman.
Granted. Thursday night. Back to Thursday night. Not an interception. 3 touchdowns, baby. 3 touchdowns. I don't see that from Herbert right now.
Justin Herbert also had a rushing touchdown, so we'll call that too.
Cool. Well, remember what you said about Burrow? Remember what you said about Burrow?
The Chargers defense also held the Chiefs down the entire day, and Herbert still couldn't close it.
The Bengals
Patrick
scored 30.
Mahomes has his worst game as a pro. Patrick Mahomes has his worst game ever as a pro, and Herbert still can't win. He's the next Peyton Manning, right?
I'll give Justin Herbert the credit.
No one said that.
He came out.
No,
5
it's
minutes
just
before
your way to discredit Burrow by using another player as an example, and it's dumb.
But we have another rookie quarterback to compare it to.
There it is. This is what you wanted. We have another rookie quarterback to compare him, and then you just tear down everything.
Oh, congrats!
What are we gonna do? Agree with you guys, and we don't know.
When have either of them won a game? I mean, talk to me when they won.
I'm talking about the individual performance of Justin Herbert versus Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow played better.
I'm not talking.
Burrow played better.
Burrow played a lot better.
I'd put it this way. Burrow went toe-to-toe with the Browns. Herbert went toe-to-toe with the Super Bowl champions on 5 minutes head start.
Yes, Super Bowl champions that couldn't do anything on offense. Literally looked anemic on offense.
The Chiefs on their worst day.
300 yards in 41 less pass attempts.
You're right, Justin. Burrow went head-to-head with the Browns. You're correct. But the Chargers went head with the Chiefs, not Herbert. The Chargers.
Because the Chargers have players.
The Chargers have a team. Except for Joe Burrow getting hit every play behind the line and have to check it down because he has no time to throw the ball.
The Chiefs on their worst day are still better than the Browns on their best day. Simple as that.
That's safe.
That is safe.
You put Joe Burrow on the Chargers roster today in that game, guess what? The Chargers win.
Was he break the passing record?
Just the absolute disrespect of just because Justin Herbert has a good game when the Chiefs have their worst in the past 2 years. And I'm sure if you guys had the number 1 pick, you also would have picked Justin Herbert. Like,
I don't know what
argument here. What is the argument?
Top
I would have
pass
picked
rusher
Tua
was coming at
Tagovailoa.
Justin
I
Herbert
would have
either.
picked Tua Tagovailoa, but that's irrelevant. I would have picked Tua if I had first overall pick.
Okay.
So that's that's enough on the rookie debate. I'm sure we'll definitely be talking about that a lot down the season. But let's talk about the bigger story is the Chiefs came out a little sluggish against.
A little sluggish? They looked like shit.
They looked very fair way of putting it.
They looked absolutely terrible. And Patrick Mahomes had his worst game as a pro. They had no run game. Their defense looked terrible for the most part, and they still won.
Now, I don't want to speak too soon, but this is, I think, the difference between the Chiefs and other great teams, not just right now, but like historically, because I don't think that the Patriots at any point or like a team like Seattle when they were Legion of Boom-esque. Like the Chiefs have the ability to look so bad at times, and that's what worries me about them long term.
Well, and
I'm
that's
not
the
worried.
thing. Well, but here's the thing. You look at them compared to the Ravens, where the Ravens don't really make mistakes. Now, next week, if the Chiefs come out the same way, the Ravens could very quickly capitalize on that, and there's the number 1 seed settled right then and there in that game, more than likely.
Yeah, I think we're blowing this out of proportion a little. It's a divisional matchup. Teams in your division know each other better, obviously. So the Chargers know what the Chiefs were going to do 100%. They played them twice a year now last year. They're playing them twice a year again this year. I just think they know, and they adapted to the situation. I'm not counting the Chiefs out yet. I'm really not.
Look,
The Chiefs were also game planning for Tyrod Taylor, and they didn't get Tyrod Taylor. Justin Herbert took more shots than Tyrod Taylor does.
That's true. It goes
They didn't
both ways.
find out that a different quarterback was playing until 5 minutes before the game started.
That's true too.
So that can also have an effect.
here's what I'm going to say. The Chiefs, they cannot just continue. They've been great at it, and they've won, and all the more credit to them. The Chiefs have this knack for the comeback. They always will get down and play. It doesn't matter, honestly, what happens in the first half because the Chiefs just know they'll
come
win.
back.
Eventually, there's going to be a defense in a big game that's going to be able to stop them.
And really, the only team I can see doing that is the Ravens.
Baltimore.
There it
I agree
is.
with that. I agree.
And that's why really next week is probably the most important game on the schedule for both Baltimore and Kansas City because that's really going to be the barometer for the playoffs because that's the only time they face each other. That's probably the only time each team will really come in contact with anyone on their level that could take them down. So that's why next week's going to be extremely important.
For sure. Yeah.
That's it. And
So-
I think we're going to see a good game.
So that's the 4:00 games. Let's kind of go through
Let's
these
run through
games.
these. Let's
Yeah,
run through some of
if
them.
if it's an important game, we'll stop and talk about it. First one on the rundown: Bucks 31, Panthers 17. Gronk was MIA. He hasn't even made the trip to Carolina or Tampa Bay, wherever they were playing today.
Tampa. Yeah.
He's basically a non-factor. But Tom Brady seems to have gotten his shit together a little bit with the Bucks, and they're kind of maybe on the same page.
Yeah, looked good. He looked good. Very happy to see that.
Yeah, Carolina's not a good team.
That too.
Carolina's not
that's
a
very
good
fair.
team
That too.
by
Yeah.
any
That's a big
stretch.
deal. And they also just neglected the defensive side of the ball just completely. Like they just haven't even addressed it as a thing. So yeah, I do think it's cool. Tom Brady puts up 31 points, yada yada yada. Mike Evans finally,
Yeah, looked good. They looked good.
This is what we
Bucks
expected.
defense looks good.
This is what we
And
expect-
hopefully this will be the launching pad for them.
Yeah,
I
this
think
is
so,
what-
too.
This is what we expected them to look like.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got the Steelers beating the Broncos 26-21 against the Jeff Driscolls. Drew Lock, one of the casualties, go down this week. So that happened. Steelers look great as usual. Broncos, this is just another step in the rebuild.
Yeah, but Broncos stayed competitive with Driscoll, so got to give him credit for staying in the game.
We
but
were competitive until that safety.
yeah,
Until they messed up the punt.
We'd be talking about this game a lot more if the Broncos came back and won.
for sure.
Absolutely. And the Steelers let the Broncos hang around a little bit too much. They
Yeah.
let the Giants hang around a little bit too long. Again, great defense, but the Steelers do have a tendency in recent history to kind of
Play down.
play down, let the other team get a little too into it. It's not the physical aspect of the game. It's just a lot of the mental stuff that comes into play under Mike Tomlin, not even his entire career, but just under the last 5 years. That would concern me. But other than that, no, I mean,
They look fine.
Ben looks like he didn't take a
James
year off.
Conner is back.
he
After
looked good.
now, was this
Yeah, I
just a
don't
flash
know.
in the pan for this game, or is he back to whenever Le'Veon Bell sat out?
I don't even think they know. I honestly don't even think.
Yeah. I
Fantasy
agree
owners
with that.
keep Snell around just in case.
Just
You
in
never
case.
know. You never know.
Yeah.
So, moving on, another game in Pennsylvania. You got the Rams beating the Eagles 37-19. Same thing with the Eagles, kind of with Houston. They're just a bad team
They're
right
not
now.
a good team.
No
I'll say that.
offensive line, no secondary. Didn't really address their problems in the offseason. And they're, get it. They have to lay in the bed they made because, quite frankly, it's not a good one. But the Rams, they look really good again.
Well, the NFC West is the best, dude. The NFC West.
There's two takeaways I have from this. One, people were way too harsh on the Rams, which I said from the beginning. They lost the Super Bowl the year before. They didn't make the playoffs. That happens a lot. They had to cope with the fact that they were so close to winning, and then they didn't. So that was an entirely different thing. They have a very talented roster. Yeah. The other thing is, as much as I like Carson Wentz and as talented as he is, there's at least like 2 to 3 drives a game that he just makes a really stupid throw on like a 2nd and 10 and just buries them to 3rd and 10, or on 3rd and 6 and he launches it 14 yards when he only needed 5. Yeah. He makes these drive-killing throws at least 2 to 3 times every game. Yeah. And that also can be because they're asking him to do too much because their line is banged up, their receiving core is banged up and bad. The only good thing they have is their tight end.
Well, that's the thing. Who is he going to make good throws to when there's really no one there?
Sounds like a certain rookie in Cincinnati, if you ask me. But that's another story. Eagles aren't good.
Look, the Eagles have not since the Super Bowl year, and even during the Super Bowl year. And I think it's really easy to forget because they have won games, but they are not good against other good teams.
Yeah, no. For sure.
No, they feast on playing bad teams, and it helps that their division.
And it makes sense because look at their division.
Yeah. Moving on to another team that's pretty bad. New York Jets. They lost to the Rams, but quite frankly, the impact of this loss for the Jets is a lot bigger than just giving the Niners a win because Jimmy G, Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa, Raheem Mostert, George Kittle all didn't play, and majority of them went down this game. So really the storyline coming out of this game is not that the Niners won, but could these injuries, even if they're, Bosa's more than likely out for the season with a torn ACL, Solomon Thomas, no one knows. Garoppolo, they're already thinking Nick Mullins is going to be starting next week. So could the outcome of this game almost already tank the season for the Niners because of how competitive the West is?
Yeah, the Niners have a chance to get 4th place in the division now. They really do. And that's sad to see because they do have a talented roster. But the fact that the Jets lost to the Niners B squad out there is just pathetic.
Even
honestly.
C squad at some positions.
At some positions, you're right. It's pathetic. That's a horrible franchise, horribly run, horribly coached. Players, it's not doing any favors for the team, but enough of that. Back to the Niners. It hurts. It hurts a lot because, like you said, Justin, they're top tier players, guys who got hurt. It's not like your right guard or your like second D tackle. It's Nick Bosa. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. It's guys who make a difference in this game. Granted, and George Kittle's still out too. He got hurt week 1, so it hurts. It's possibly a 4th place team in the division.
And this is what we saw how they got Bosa in the first place, where Jimmy G went down and, they win 2 games and they get one of the best pass rushers in the league then. So there's a silver lining in that. But with this draft coming up, you have no idea. And a team who's looking to, bounce back after a pretty devastating Super Bowl loss, this isn't what you want to do. So this is just ultimately really demoralizing.
Yeah, this might bury them, honestly. If Garoppolo, I heard, was probably high ankle sprain, that could be 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6, yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I already wasn't that high on the Niners because coming off of the Super Bowl loss, this could bury them even more. We'll see. The Jets are a bad team. Whatever.
And last point on this game, with them being a terrible team, over under Adam Gase getting fired. I'm setting it at Halloween. Before or after him getting fired midseason?
After. They're not going to fire him during the season.
They're going to do it after. He's already – they knew coming into this year that they were going to fire him at the end of the year.
They already kept him around for too long. They kept him around for too long.
Hiring him was keeping him around for too long, for being quite honest.
Exactly. He's not good.
We're not going to rehash that.
No. I'm sorry, Jet fans.
We'll touch on that when they inevitably fire him. But moving along, staying in the East – the Bills hang on by a thread and beat the Dolphins 31-28. Now, if the Bills are supposed to be the best team in the East, I don't expect you to beat the Dolphins only by 3 points. And my God, Josh Allen, please stop giving everyone a heart attack with the way he plays, running around, making throws that just hold your breath the minute he gets rid of it. looking at the Patriots on Sunday Night Football, the Patriots, I think, are really the favorite now.
I think they've been the favorites. People were just hyping up the Bills because Tom Brady's gone and it's a new era and they don't know if they're going to click. Patriots still have it on lock. Bills are not as good as people say.
Yeah, I mean, and I like the Bills and
Me
I
too.
like the defense that they've built. But when you're letting Miami stay in the game and continuously just keep coming back and keep coming back, Josh Allen has the tendency to just make the dumb mistake. It'll be 3rd and 9, and he'll try to run for it and get 5 yards, and then they have to punt. And they're like a replication of what Josh Allen is. Like, teams follow their quarterbacks, and Josh Allen is a lot like a backyard football quarterback. Just, I'm going to break a lot of tackles, and I'm going to try to bomb it deep. And that's kind of what the Bills are. They're not very buttoned up.
Yeah.
And thank God they traded for Stephon Diggs so he actually has someone to throw to.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't, he'd be running a lot more.
He would be running almost every single down.
Crazy. Yeah.
Joe, you got anything on this game?
I think it says a lot to me that Josh Allen had probably the best game we've ever seen him play, and it was barely enough to squeak by the Miami Dolphins. It's not going to be easy for this team because the defense does allow teams to get into it, and they do give up touchdowns, unlike the Steelers that we talked about, and they're not equipped to win a shootout. They're just not. So, the Bills could be a great regular season team no matter what happens, and they're not going far in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're not built for it, strictly just looking at this game. So moving things along, another close game that we have, Titans 33, Jags 30. Another game where Gardner Minshew's just screwing around and keeping his team in it. Same thing with the Titans where, obviously the Jags beat the Colts last week, but the Titans, if they're supposed to be the favorite for the South or, being in contention for the South with a team who's, purposely trying to tank, you shouldn't win by just 3 points.
Don't count out the Jags in this division. That's all I got to say about this.
This is not a good division.
No, it's not. But Minshew proved 2 weeks in a row now that he's here to stay in Jacksonville. He improved so much since his rookie year last year, and I like Minshew. I like the way he plays. I like how the team chemistry works all together because they're the underdogs. They traded all their players away and all this nonsense going on. But don't count out the Jags in that division. It's almost wide open, except for the Texans. I think count out the Texans, but
yeah, I think the Jags are interesting, and I think Minshew has done enough that if he keeps playing like this, you can't draft a quarterback.
I agree.
There's you've literally stripped away
Everything
that he could possibly have, and he's still, I said last week when they destroyed the Colts that he looked like prime Montana out there just picking apart the Colts.
Yeah.
And he looked good again this week against the Titans. The Titans are supposed to be a defense and run-based team. So you're letting them put 30 up on your head. You're not really doing your job on defense.
for sure.
And the Jaguars, this is like the best offense we may have ever seen from a Jaguars team, and that's not even an exaggeration. They're actually putting points up in a way that I've never seen out of Jacksonville. And this is where it gets tricky with Tennessee because they're 2-0 right now, but they have had the 2 least convincing wins I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. I thought they were going to fall off in our predictions, and obviously, like you said, Joe, the record doesn't show it, but they're not the same team they were last year. They're not.
So,
Derrick Henry's still a beast, but they're not the same team.
So what's another week of football without another Lions choking away a 10-point double-digit lead again and losing to the Packers? And the Packers put up another 40-piece game, 42-21 over the Lions. Matt Patricia's got to go. Lions are just the poverty franchise of the NFL.
They're the Orioles of the NFL.
Thanks. Aaron Jones keeps proving why he's a very good running back, 3 touchdowns on the day.
Thanks
Packers
for letting
offense,
me get him in the second round, guys.
Packers offense,
You're
yeah, it's the same song and dance with the Packers offense. Aaron Rodgers is pissy coming into the season. Aaron Rodgers is friends with his head coach. The offense goes off for 40 points a game, and now they're cruising again.
I like the Packers, but I'm not trying to discredit them at all right now. But I want to see
They played
them play
2 bad
against
teams.
Exactly. I want to see them play against a good team.
Yeah.
No discredit. They played phenomenally. Aaron Rodgers has been great 2 weeks in a row. Aaron Jones is phenomenal. Great defense, great all around. It's just I want to see him play a good team. I
We
really
gotta
do.
we gotta see that Devontae Adams injury because if he's
Yeah.
out and Valdez Scantling is your number one,
Oh boy.
I still
Yikes.
think they can win some against bad teams, but
But they play the
Very
Saints.
slim
Rodgers
pickings.
was already force feeding him towards the end of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, they play the Saints next week in Sunday Night Football, so that'll be a fun matchup.
No, I think the Lions. It begins and ends with Matt Patricia. The guy's got to go. It's over. It's over there. But no, it's like you said, Jesse. Though, if you don't have Devontae Adams, the entire Packers defense will just collapse into itself. There's no number 2 option. It's been Adams or bust basically for the past 3 years
since they cut Jordy Nelson.
But I mean, the offense that they've put up is outstanding. But they don't turn the ball over, which is very important, and that's how they win games. They still have, and now that defense is really starting to get sacks. They're really starting to take the quarterback down, and that could be really important because I mean, if they could get to the passer, that's like the key in the NFC.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that was their thing last year was they didn't have a good defense, but they had Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith. So let's hope they can make a couple plays, and hopefully Rodgers will be able to bail them out.
And like
that
you
was
said,
pretty much the hope the whole year.
And like you said, Joe, having that cornerback on, having Jair Alexander there helps a lot. It really does to build that defense and make it even better than it is.
So
I think Packers run away with the division at this point.
Yeah, the Bears, they're 2-0, but it's a sham 2-0. We'll get into that when we get to their game. But we're going to head down to Jerry World. The Cowboys came back in probably the game of the week, if we're being quite honest. And I said before, what's football without Lions blowing a lead? But what's the NFL without the Falcons really blowing a lead? Cowboys come back 40-39 with probably the greatest onside kick ever by Greg the Leg Zuerlein.
Yeah. Second best onside kick ever. The New Orleans one in the Super Bowl is definitely
trying to redact that from my memory. Thank you for that.
That was awesome.
Jesse.
That was awesome.
No, it wasn't.
No.
4 words at this game. I had 4 words for the Bucs one. How about them Cowboys, baby? Resilient team. Dak Prescott started the game off slow, kicked up towards the end, got things clicking for the team. Yes, the Falcons aren't a good team. Yes, they choked here and there. But you got to give credit to the Cowboys and their resiliency, able to come back.
You know what I like to say? You know what Dak basically did in this game?
What did he do?
Said F you to Skip Bayless.
I love it. I love it.
He proved that he's a leader. He kept his team in this game. He deserves.
The Falcons kept it in this game.
Well, that's on Dan Quinn. I've been calling for Dan Quinn's job for about 2
Dan
years
Quinn
now.
gotta go.
Probably he's gotta go.
He's the
Ever
king
since
of
the Super Bowl, he had to go.
He's the king of all collapses in the NFL right now, if we're being quite honest. But for a while, thought the Falcons were going to win it. But, you think that every single week with the Falcons, Cowboys, great win. They're going to sleepwalk their way through the East anyway. So, quite frankly, yay. No, but
Dak
CeeDee
Prescott had 468 yards with neither of his 2 offensive tackles. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the guy has been kind of a bailout for bad offensive coaching in his career. And Mike McCarthy's game plan was not it today going into the game. But
Fake punted twice in his own territory, didn't get either of them.
But oh my goodness.
I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers.
Dak deserves money. Dak deserves the bag.
Yeah. I'm a Dak guy. I'm a big Dak guy.
And that's it.
I don't think there's any way he hits the open market. If he hits the open market, the Colts should throw everything.
I 100% agree.
Absolutely.
Give me him. Give me Darnold. Give me anybody, honestly.
Anyone but Phil, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get to our little Phil.
But great win for the Cowboys. A great statement win, too, basically.
Yeah.
Come from behind and just never really let up. So we're going to stay with one team in the NFC East. That's the New York Giants against the Chicago Bears. Only lost by 4. But the big story is the Saquon Barkley injury. Now, the Giants weren't going anywhere fast this season to begin with. But it does hurt losing him in a game that if you had him, you probably could have won. Because the Giants were in it to the last throw, basically. But I give Joe Judge a lot more credit because the Bears, they're supposed to be a good team. They are a very good defense, and he kept his team in it to the very end.
Yeah.
Patrick Graham deserves ample amounts of credit for what he's done with the defense. I never thought I was going to say this because I didn't expect anything out of him. But the Giants' defense looks like they're playing a lot better. It looks like everyone knows their assignments much more than they did last year. The problem, though, is that Jason Garrett looks like there's just no direction on offense. Today, more so than last week, but it seemed like they have no plan for Daniel Jones. I don't know what they're trying to do, what they're trying to make this offense look like, but no, it's not going to get it done.
No, it's not. It's not. But
every time I felt like I was watching this game, I felt like another Giants wide receiver was dropping a pass.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Daniel Jones had like 4 really good passes that just hit him right on the hands.
Yeah, that's what
and
happens.
just nope.
Daniel Jones is very accurate. He's a very good quarterback. But when you, like you said, when you have to have a whole team to be able to win, you can't have these bums out on the edges just dropping stuff. And when your best player on your team goes down, that obviously does you no favors either. I feel for the Giants. But on the other side of the ball, is Mitch Trubisky for real now? Like,
No.
Did they like find something in the other? Hey,
Again,
man.
okay, they should have lost to the Lions last week. They're DeAndre Swift just catching the ball.
That's
He's literally
true.
just catching the ball and they lose.
Well, they're playing Falcons next week, so it's going to be a little interesting.
I'm sure they're going to win. I'm sure the Bears are going to go.
Hey, that's the 3-0 Bears then, right there.
They will be the worst undefeated team.
And then they might beat the Colts the week after at this point too.
God, actually dial that up 4-0.
4-0. Let's keep looking at the schedule then. Then the Buccaneers. Never mind. That's where it gets cut.
4-1. Okay, that's where the party ends.
That's where the party ends. But I hope Mitch is for real.
I don't. He's not. He's not.
They declined his 5th-year option. If they even thought there was a semblance of him being the guy, they would have picked up.
Mitch isn't good, but I like the guy.
He'll look great in New York as a backup for the Jets next season.
Oh, don't wish that on the Jets.
So the final 1:00 game, the Indianapolis Colts beating the Minnesota Vikings. I have the Lions written down for some reason. Same result, honestly. But Colts won 28-11. Kirk Cousins looked bad.
Yeah.
Now, was it the Colts defense being good or Kirk Cousins being awful?
It was Kirk Cousins being bad.
We
watched the same game. Cousins was bad. He was bad the whole game. He did not have a rhythm the whole time. It was one of those games. I mean, these usually come at, prime time. Like, usually Kirk Cousins waits until Sunday Night Football to do one of these games.
Yeah.
We were blessed with one of these at 1:00.
Good, didn't have to wait.
He just mailed it.
Well, Kirk Cousins had 59 yards passing in the first half. It took him to the fourth quarter to get to 61 passing yards.
He had a couple of throws on the dots too. They were just either deflected at the line or deflected in the secondary. So he was bad. I'll give you that. But the Colts defense stepped up from the week before too. They were horrible week 1 against the Jaguars.
Once Buckner and Houston and Autry got the initial pressure up front, that's when Kirk Cousins just kind of
folded
the bed.
The Vikings folded by like the second quarter.
They
knew they weren't going to win.
They've needed to fix their offensive line for about 3-4 years now since Cousins has been there, and they just haven't.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of the ball now, Jonathan Taylor is looking like starting to be a starter running back in this league now too. He did really well his first start in the league, and he fit right in the mold of the Colts run the damn ball thing. Like it was fun to see, a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, the Colts are a quarterback away from being a legit team.
I agree.
They're fine. They might get to the playoffs.
They might get a 7. They might get to 7.
But they're not there until they get a real quarterback.
100% agree with that. But Phil didn't do bad.
Phil's fine.
Phil's fine.
It's going to be a coin toss week in, week out with him.
The one interception he had wasn't
his fault.
It wasn't his fault.
Yeah,
just like the Russell Wilson interception almost from Sunday Night Football. So it wasn't a bad showing, but like I agree with Jesse with that. They're a quarterback away.
I also as much as I like the Vikings and I think they're a good organization and I think Mike Zimmer's a good coach.
His time's come out. His time's run out.
I don't know if his time's run out. I just think if you're a defensive coach and you've tied yourself offensively to Kirk Cousins, you're kind of running a dangerous path.
The first thing
What are you doing?
The first thing I would do just to spice up the offense is get rid of Kubiak in the offseason, see where that goes. If it's the same song and dance, reevaluate Zimmer at that point.
Is it Kubiak? Kubiak's been a great offensive coordinator pretty much everywhere.
I think it's more Zimmer than Kubiak, if I'm being honest.
I think it's more Cousins than anybody.
Wow.
I think it's Cousins. Like we know what Kirk Cousins is.
But they're tied to him.
He plays really good against bad teams. And then a semi-decent team runs through Minnesota and he folds. He folds like origami paper.
Yeah, Jess, you said this too. Like, the Colts are a quarterback away from being a contender or whatever. I think the Vikings are almost around that same area.
The Vikings have always been a quarterback away from being a contender.
Yeah, because Dalvin Cook is a monster.
When they joked themselves into signing Kirk Cousins after they got destroyed by the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, and they convinced themselves that Kirk Cousins was going to get them over the hump that Case Keenum couldn't. I mean, they literally wrote their name onto the list of never going to be a Super Bowl contender with its roster. Well, like, they had a great defense. They had so many weapons. They had everything. And then they tied themselves to Kirk Cousins in a time where rookie quarterbacks come in and have been better than ever. Kyler Murray, we've seen, has been fantastic in his second year. There was no, we have to draft a guy and develop him for 3 or 4 years. No, Deshaun Watson came in. He was fantastic. Kyler Murray came in. He was fantastic. Patrick Mahomes did sit a year and then took over the entire league. Lamar Jackson's been fantastic. There's no, we have to get this guy and then we got to wait, so we had to get Kirk Cousins. No, you didn't have to get Kirk Cousins.
They could have played the draft right and gotten a much better talent for a much cheaper contract. Simple as that.
They would have been better off just trading that ransom or whatever for a quarterback that they liked in the draft.
Yep, simple as that.
They would have been so much better off.
Well, and speaking of two teams who got their quarterback in the draft, real quick, because we're running out of time, Thursday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals came up just short against the Cleveland Browns. Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield. We talked about it a little bit earlier. But Zach Taylor is going to get Burrow killed if he has him drop back and throw 61 times a game.
Not even that.
I thought Joe Mixon was supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I thought Joe Mixon was supposed to be good, that too. But it's not even that he's passing all that too. It's that when he passes, he gets literally killed because there's no blocking for him.
He has no time. It's as simple as that.
He has no right tackle, no left tackle, no right guard, nothing.
It's sad. It's really sad, but whatever.
Look, this is what Baker
we talked about
is
this
too.
already. We talked about this already.
Baker is sort of like a Kirk Cousins type. Like, he's gonna beat up on bad teams. Like, put a bad defense in front of Baker and he'll shred them.
Yeah.
Put a top 15 defense in front of him and flip a coin, and we'll see if he's good or if he's bad.
I agree.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
The Browns have more talent. I mean, I don't think anybody could watch that game and at the end think Baker was the better quarterback than Burrow. Baker had significantly the better team. Better offensive line, better weapons, and better everything. The run game alone.
Yeah, Chubb, top 5 running back in the league.
And Kareem Hunt.
And Hunt. Yeah,
Chubb
you're
and
right.
Hunt combined for over 200 yards.
And Burrow still did 303 touchdowns. So,
yeah.
I think already there's no way Baker isn't the worst quarterback in the AFC North already.
I agree.
Yep. Well, that sums up week 2 thus far. We have one more game by time we're recording it on Monday night between the New Orleans Saints and the Raiders. Real quick, who you guys got?
Saints.
I think we all got Saints, right? Saints.
I was going with the Raiders.
Cash in on my $80.
Whoa, Justin going with the Raiders?
Yeah, I'm going with the Raiders. I like Vegas.
Got a lone wolf over here, baby. Why? What's your reasoning?
Just being a little gutsy. First game in Vegas, Josh Jacobs, he's a very good running back. And, watching the Saints last week, Drew Brees' arm, I don't think he can sling it as well as people think.
Yeah, but Alvin Kamara makes up for that. Alvin Kamara's about 200 yards, calling it right now.
Saints hide Drew Brees' arm very well.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
They do.
But I'm just going with the Raiders.
All right, so 3 of us Saints, 1 of us Raiders. I like it. Very interesting. Very interesting.
And with that, Clark, we're wrapping up the podcast. So where can they listen to us?
Oh, well, first I got to thank them very much for listening to us because I appreciate everyone who listens to us. It means a lot to us. You guys know that already, though. But don't forget, subscribe on YouTube. give us a like, comment, tell us your favorite part of the show, but also subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave a 5-star review because that helps us a lot. Boost our ratings, more people will see the podcast. It's a whole algorithm thing. Justin has all the algorithm stuff on his computer. He looks at that stuff.
I check the numbers.
He checks the numbers. He cares.
The nerd stats.
Justin looks at the numbers, and we're going to do more episodes of what you guys listen to. Like, we're going to do a new Madden episode pretty soon. And you guys like the Madden stuff. So that's coming soon. Don't forget, you can follow us on our social media pages as well. On Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, at @department_pod. TikTok got signed by like Walmart or something, so TikTok is here to stay. Woohoo! So that's staying. But yet again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.